Hello everyone, welcome to today's deck profile. Today I will be doing Metaphys. This is a super fun deck based around banishing monsters and then waiting a turn for them to give you a really neat effect. It is a very interesting deck with a extra deck monster that isn't really used. But without further ado, let's hop right into it. Starting off, we play 3 copies of Metaphys Ragnarok. If this card is normal or special summon, you can banish the top 3 cards of your deck, and this card gains 300 for each Metaphys banished by this effect. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can special a level 5 or higher Metaphys monster from your deck, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn. Really great card. This is one of your starters in the deck. It's also a great search off of something like a Crossbreed. So really great card to start off your game. Another good starter is a Lupine. When this card is normal summon, banish a monster from your hand, and then banish one monster from your deck with the same type as that monster. All Metaphys are worm monsters. They're all light worms at that. So Lupine pretty much lets you grab anyone from deck. And then if this card is destroyed by battle or opponent's card effect, you can target a banished monster, add it to your hand. Really great card. Some people saw Lupine used in Thunder Dragons, but Metaphys also works really well. We then play 3 copies of Metaphys Nephthys. When this card is special summoned by the effect of a Metaphys monster, banish all set spell and traps on the field. If this card is banished during the standby phase of the next turn, you can shuffle this banished card into the deck to add a Metaphys card from your deck to your hand. All of them have that effect. All of the big ones have that effect where they shuffle themselves back in during the next standby phase to get some effect. This one will add one Metaphys card from deck. Metaphys Tyrant Dragon, who we also play 3 of, is one of your main punching bigger guys that you want to use. When he is special summoned by the effect of a Metaphys monster, he's unaffected by trap effects. Also, if it attacks the monster, it can make a second attack in a row. If this card is banished during the next standby phase of the next turn, you can shuffle this banished card into the deck, especially Metaphys monster from your hand. So, really great card. This is usually what you want to end up on the board with, so that way you can start punching for game. We play 2 copies of Daedalus. If this card is special summoned by the effect of Metaphys, banish all other face-up special summon monsters in the field. If this card is banished during the standby phase of the next turn, shuffle this banished card into the deck to then banish another Metaphys card from your deck. Really great card, but you do play him at 2 because you don't really want to see him in your opener. Then we play 2 copies of Decoy Dragon. His pendulum effect is when your monster is targeted for an attack, you can target one of your Metaphys monsters that is banished or in your grave. Banish this card. If you do, special summon that monster in attack position. So this lets you trade out for any of your bigger Metaphys that are in the banished zone. It then has the effect that when your monster is targeted for an attack, you can target one of your Metaphys monsters that is banished. Banish this card, special summon it in attack position. So pretty much the same as the pendulum. Then during the standby phase, after this card is banished, you can special summon it. Moving on to spells, we play 3 copies of Metaphys. Once per turn, banish a Metaphys monster from your hand. If you do, draw 1 card. Once per turn, if a Metaphys monster in its owner's possession is destroyed, apply the following effect depending on whose turn it is. Your turn, all monsters in the field lose 500 attack and defense except for Metaphys. Your opponent's turn, change the battle position of all monsters in the field. So this is a great draw card that also lets you start banishing if you have some of the bigger bricks in your hand. As well as beefing up your monsters during your turn. Play 3 copies of Metaphys Factor. Each turn, 1 level 5 or higher Metaphys monster can be normal summoned without tributing, but banished during the end phase for the next turn. Your opponent cannot respond to any of your Metaphys effect activations. That is the most important part, as your opponent can no longer respond to any of your Metaphys, so Ash Blossom, none of that really matters after you get that up. We then play 3 Crossbreed. This banishes 2 monsters from your hand or field with the same original type and attribute but different names, to add a third with a different name but the same type and attribute. So you can banish any of your 2 big guys to get a Ragnarok from deck and start your plays. Play 3 Pot of Duality. This can also be Pot of Extravagance. I would actually recommend Extravagance over Duality, but with Duality, you're not really special summoning the turn you activate it. You're special summoning during your opponent's turn after you've banished everything. So it's not too bad, but definitely play Extra over Duality. This next one, I would take out to put D-Fisher, but I don't have spare D-Fisher at the moment, so instead I play Inferno Tempest, which is also equally funny. If you've never seen this card, Inferno Tempest is incredibly funny. When you take 3,000 more battle damage from one attack, activate this card, remove all monsters in either player's deck and graveyard from play. This will harm your opponent, especially if they're playing Super Heavy Samurai. However, all of your monsters will just shuffle right back into the deck, meaning that you still have gas in the tank while they're getting a little empty. Very funny card, but it also requires your opponent to have 3,000 damage on board, but not lethal on board. So yeah, definitely trade this out for a D-Fisher, but if you want to be a little spicy, it's not a horrible tech. Moving on to traps. Play 3 Metaphys Ascension. Discard a Metaphys card to draw 1 card, then you can banish a Metaphys monster from your deck. If this card is banished, you can add a Metaphys card from your deck to your hand, except for Ascension. You can only use 1 effect per turn and only once that turn. It's pretty decent. You can banish it off of your Ace of Metaphys or off of your Daedalus, and proceed to search something like a Ragnarok or a one of your continuous traps. But overall, just a great draw card and good consistency card. Moving on, we do play 3 Macrocosmos. Any monster, any card that would be sent to the grave is banished instead. This hurts your opponent, but does absolutely nothing to you. You can play through macro with little to no issue. And finally, 2 Metaphys Dimension. When your opponent special summons a monster, you can target one of your banished Metaphys monsters, special summon it, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn. If you control another Metaphys card, and its owner's possession is banished, and this card's already face up in your spell trap zone, target a card your opponent controls, banish that card. Really great card, but it is only a 2 of, because you don't really want to open more than 2 of it, more than 1 of it, actually. Finally, they do have the 1 Synchro monster, which is Metaphys Horus. It gains an effect depending on its non-tutor monster. If it was a normal monster, it's unaffected by card effects this turn. If it's a effect monster, you can negate 1 monster's effects. And if it is a pendulum monster, you can take control of 1 of the monsters your opponent controls. You can only make this with an effect monster, meaning you get a single negate from it, but really, it's not that great. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not a really good card. But it's a Metaphys. So that's all I have for my Metaphys deck profile. With the extra deck, feel free to put anything else you want in it. And then, like I said, you can take out that duality, replace it with a playset of Extrav. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.